man doesn't always seek a woman for love. Sometimes he seeks her because standing beside her lets him hide from himself. He wraps himself in her presence, hoping her gaze will blind him to what he dares not see in the mirror. Carl Jung warned that the man who cannot face his own shadow becomes its puppet. This shadow, the part of him he denies, the part filled with fear, resentment, and doubt, doesn't disappear. It waits, it watches, it shapes him from the dark corners of his mind. And so, some men use relationships not to give love, but to escape themselves. The woman becomes a shield. As long as she looks at him with admiration, he believes he is strong. As long as she sees him as the man she wants him to be, he can avoid asking who he truly is. What he loves, in truth, is not her, but the refuge she provides from his inner storm. He fears solitude, because solitude would leave him alone with the questions he runs from. Who am I beneath the masks? What would I see if I looked too closely? This is the man hidden even from himself, the man whose charm masks a deep fracture. And this is the man women must learn to see, not the mask, but the shadow behind it. When a man refuses to face his inner darkness, it doesn't stay hidden, it spills outward. He begins to see in women not who they are, but what he fears in himself. Her independence becomes his threat, her strength, his challenge, her flaws, a mirror of his own wounds. Jung showed us that what a man cannot accept inside himself, he projects onto others. The shadow, denied and unlived, demands expression. So it shapes how he sees the world and the women in it. Every argument becomes proof of her unworthiness, every disagreement a sign of betrayal. But in truth, what he battles is not her, it is himself, and here lies the tragedy. The woman is trapped in a war she never started. She becomes the canvas on which he paints his inner chaos. The more he fights her, the further he drifts from himself. The more he tries to control her, the less control he has over the storm within. This is not love. This is not strength. It is fear, disguised as power. And unless a man turns inward, he will forever see in women the enemy that lives in him. The question is, how does a woman see through this projection before she's caught in its web? There's a kind of man who hungers for approval so deeply that he builds his identity around it. But he hides this hunger beneath masks. The mask of the strong protector, the wise guide, or the rebel who needs no one. These masks impress, but they are not real. The truth is, this man doesn't seek love. He seeks validation. Every compliment feeds the emptiness inside. Every glance of admiration keeps the shadow at bay. He tells himself he's powerful, but his power depends on others seeing him as powerful. Jung taught that when a man's worth comes from the outside, he becomes hollow within. He is like a house built on sand, impressive from afar, but crumbling under its own weight. And so, this man turns relationships into battlegrounds of control, not because he wants the woman's heart, but because he needs to keep his masks in place. And the woman? She becomes caught in his web, endlessly trying to give the approval he craves, without ever reaching the bottom of his need. The more she gives, the more he demands. The more she loves, the less he feels whole. This is the predator of approval, charming, persuasive, but always empty. And the question is, can a woman see where love ends and his hunger begins? Some men do not seek partnership. They seek shelter from their own loneliness, from their own silence. A relationship becomes less about love and more about ownership. If she is his, he can silence the voice inside that whispers of his emptiness. This man doesn't want a woman who walks beside him. He wants one who fills the space he is too afraid to enter alone. Her presence becomes a wall between him and the dark questions he refuses to face. Who am I when no one is watching? What remains when the applause fades? He calls it love, but love does not cage. Love does not demand possession. Yet he clings, tighter and tighter, thinking that if she stays, the fear will leave. It never does, because no woman can fill the void a man creates by refusing to know himself. Jung showed that the man who fears his own solitude ends up fearing the woman too, because deep down he knows she can never quiet the storm he carries inside. And so he tries to control her, as if control could bring him peace. But peace never comes from chains, and possession is not the cure for loneliness. The question is, how can a woman see the difference between a man who loves and a man who clings out of fear? There is a kind of man who says he loves, but what he really loves is the escape. The woman is not a partner, she is a refuge, a distraction, a mask. To the world he seems devoted, to himself he seems safe. But beneath it all, he runs. He runs from the parts of himself that ache for attention, the wounds he won't heal, the questions he won't answer. The love he offers is conditional, shaped by his need to forget what haunts him. He gives what seems like his heart, but keeps his truth locked away. Such a man will give flowers, promises, poems. He will speak of forever, but forever means nothing when he cannot stay present with himself. The relationship becomes a stage where he performs sincerity, while secretly using love as a hiding place. And the woman? She feels it. She senses the distance behind his eyes, the hollowness behind his words. No matter how deeply she loves, she can't bridge the gap he has built between them and between himself. Jung knew that no bond can be whole when one partner uses love to avoid himself. Until the man turns toward his shadow, no woman can touch his soul. The question is, how can a woman see when love is real and when it's just another escape? A man who uses love to escape, who hides behind charm, who clings for approval, he is not whole. He is fragmented, lost in his masks, at war with his own shadow. And the tragedy is, many women fall in love not with the man, but with his mask. But what happens when the mask slips? When the charm fades? When the promises feel empty? When the hunger for approval turns to control? The woman begins to see the fracture beneath the surface. She senses the storm he tried to hide, and she stands at a crossroads. Does she stay and lose herself trying to fill his emptiness, or does she walk away and choose her own wholeness? Jung taught that true relationship is not built on illusion. It is built when two whole people meet, each having faced their shadow, each able to stand alone before they stand together. The man women must see clearly is the man who has done this work, the man who no longer needs her to heal him, complete him, or save him. Such a man offers love that frees, not binds. He offers presence, not possession. And so the final question remains, one that both women and men must ask. Do you love the person, or the illusion they hope you'll never see through?